Well, good afternoon, everyone. We're super excited you are here and joining us this Thursday. We're coming from Mexico and looking forward to having a great conversation. Miss Ellen, turning it over to you.
Muchas gracias, Miss Jana. Hola, everyone. Buenas tardes. Feliz jueves. Welcome to our Thursday meeting. We're excited to invite you to one of our September multifamily investor meetups. Scan the QR code to learn more details and discover how you can connect, grow, and build lasting relationships. Are you ready for the ultimate real estate conference of the year? ConnectCon 2024 is just 65 days away. If you haven't secured your tickets yet, grab them now and use the code NIAMember for a 50% off. Prices go up on October 1st, so don't wait. Dreaming of a tropical getaway with fellow investors and partners before the year ends? Our Mexico Dream Trip Mastermind in December is now open for registration. Scan the QR code and secure your spot with a $1,000 deposit. Guys, let's make things happen together. Back to you, Miss Jana.
Awesome. Well, Sean, we're here in Mexico.
Yes, we are.
I don't know where his drink is.
Oh, it's
okay, he's got his water.
Straight water.
And we've got people literally coming off the planes now to join us. We definitely wanted to not miss this event. And yes, the goal is to make you jealous. You know it. That's the goal. Has it worked? Anyone? You guys can be here with us again in Mexico. We're coming in December, that first weekend in December, Thursday through the Sunday, and we love these times. And you guys actually get a special treat today because we are the first Thursday of the month. So we're going to, in a moment, be talking about deal flow. This is a little bit of our conversation in the mastermind. We're going to give you guys a tenth of what we're going to be talking about, but at least you guys will have some homework, and you'll be able to get into the mastermind room next time because there's such value. We are going to write an LOI, right? If not,
we're going to underwrite some deals. I think we're going to submit two LOIs. In fact, we got to submit an LOI today and one tomorrow. So
okay.
Yes.
Okay. Sounds good. So being part of this process definitely helps get you there faster as well, and seeing how that works out. So we want you guys to for sure put these masterminds on your calendar. We try to do 3. We'll do 3 this year. So we are typically May, September, and December. We'll probably do one around the February, March timeframe, possibly. But this is just time we get to break bread together. We get to share. We get to have an experience and learn as well. So all about deal flow today and how we are finding the model deals that we're looking for so that we can invest in all of that good stuff and take to our investors. Before we get started, would love to hear some good news. If anybody has walked some properties, you have secured a new investor, you've hit some of your goals, some of your targets, personally, professionally. So let's get a couple of people, raise your hand or go ahead and unmute and share some great news with the team, and we'll start off on the right foot forward. We're going to call you out if we need to. So go ahead. Anyone? Jody, good news.
Yeah, walked the property Tuesday with the broker. Cheryl and Diedrich were with me on that one as well. And then walked another property yesterday with Cheryl. Both are promising. One's more promising than the other, but good visit. Had 2 PMs on the second one, including a regional property manager for most of Houston. She's actually supervisor for 9 properties, and the other person is actually over 26 properties, all in Houston. So it's good to know. It's good to have some feedback, and asked her some questions that stumped her. She was not prepared for, but she should have known. But
what were they? What were the questions?
Which it was, you're putting me on the spot.
Anything about delinquencies or cap?
It was,
put it in the chat, but that's a really good, it's nice to stump the PM for sure.
but yeah, it was a good experience overall.
Love it. Love it. Love it. So that is Houston update. And consistently, we still love Chateau. That is a property we are going to look at deeper. And Clark had some feedback as well. And so definitely want to get a look at that. We may type you in at the mastermind. We'll see. I know you've got surgery coming. So y'all add Jody to the prayer list of he's having back surgery. Don't want, I think most of you guys know, but he is rocking and rolling still with a broken back. So
guy went out there in a wheelchair and toured the property.
I'm telling you,
unbelievable, bro.
Commitment.
That is total commitment.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah, the broker yesterday offered to take me around the trunk of his car, which was nice.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. It's like, where's the golf cart when you need it, right? Awesome. Anybody else? Good news. Good news. Wins. We got some cityscape wins as we keep moving forward, right? So that anybody else want to share? I know Robin may not be able to share, but she has she's been hustling. Anybody that's on Cityscape with us, we have, we're working around the clock, shaking the trees, and this is not, I don't want to say that it gets easier so that we all think it gets easier, but it is about systems, right? It is about systems, and it's a long play. So if I were you guys, all of our MIA team, as we said, once we close, we're looking at close next Thursday, Friday on Cityscape. You guys need to be sharing the post and saying, our team just closed, right? Whether you're directly involved with it, you are indirectly involved with every single thing. Our team is putting out LOIs, our team is walking properties. You're just starting those conversations and starting the narrative for people. So it's good news that we're all working and closing deals. That's for sure. Anybody else? Good news?
Come on, there's got to be some wins out there. Let's go. You guys are just jealous because you're not in Mexico with us. Is that what it is? Let's go.
So I think it is. Sam's here. Good to see you. Good to see Sergio and Jonathan. You guys share some good news.
Well, I want to share the bad news first. The bad news is that I'm not out there.
I know. We're right in the same location, right?
Yeah, it's great. I will say that if you're not there, guys, you need to make the time to be out there. So it's just always great. We're doing big things together, and it's always just good to, keep that relationship and get more personal with one another and to continue building off of that momentum that we already have. And it's great. It's a great time out there. I know exactly where you're sitting, and I remember, I know the feeling. So some good wins this week. I mean, I just feel like, as time goes on, and it's not really, I'm not going to sit here and tell you I got an immediate win and I got something done, but like, spiritually, I feel like things are getting better, in my life. And I think that's a win as the weeks go on. Sometimes, we go through little things, little hiccups in life. And I think, I'm getting over, reflecting back over the year, which we're almost done with the year. But I see positivity. I see good things happening. And I think, none of that would be possible without, honestly, just being here every Thursday, being positive about it. Even, behind the screens, we're all facing our own demons and we're all facing our own wars. I think it's it's great to come every Thursday and just have that traction, right? So I think it's just great what we're doing, and I'm really, really blessed and just having that positivity, right? So that's a win for me. I'm here again another week, and I mean that's my win, and I'm here with great people, and we're hammering things away. So let's just keep it going and let's keep staying united. So that's my win. I mean,
I
we're
love
here
it.
another week, and let's keep going.
That's awesome. That is awesome. All right. Well, yeah, I know, Sean, you just got a nice win that Rebecca let you know that you are
Yeah.
on Grant Cardone's Facebook. I guess you want to.
Yeah.
That happens when you're doing big things, right? You get noticed.
Rebecca, drop that in the chat if you can. That is so cool. So I do have to brag or pat myself on the back. And it came from Rebecca found it, I guess, when we did our interview. I think Jody and Jana, and we all did an interview with Grant a couple of
Jay did an interview
months ago. Jay, we did a couple months ago. We had an interview, and he posted my interview on his Facebook this morning. So it's really cool to have somebody like that see the progress and what we have done. And it is it is not just because my picture got posted up there. I didn't do it, but it certainly came from this group and this group's momentum and doing big things and closing 2 deals at one time and continuing to stretch ourselves. And to Jana's point, a little bit of coaching here, the race does get easier. But it's up to you. Is it your easy, or do you want to continue to push and stretch yourself to take yourself to the next level? If you're not continuing to make progress, you're falling backwards and you're not keeping up. So, I think it comes down to, yes, the raise gets easier on how to talk to people and things like that, but we're always stretching ourselves to close more deals or bigger deals or better deals or a different class of deals. So, there's always that transition. I think that you got to keep pushing yourself, and that's what we want you guys to take away from this message in particular. And Grant posting my videos is because of what we have done, not because of what Sean Ricehouse has done. So, it was a huge win this morning. That made my day today.
It's huge. It's amazing. And so, keep an account of your wins, big, small, doesn't matter. We're moving forward, as Sergio says. And that we're moving forward as a team, right? So today we're going to talk about deal flow. And what I want you guys to do is literally get out a piece of paper, like old school piece of paper. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of the 10th of how our mastermind is going to start out. So get your paper, and then I want you in the middle of your paper to literally write the word property. Okay, so write the word property, circle it right in the middle. We're going to mind map. If you've ever done a mind map, this is exactly what we're going to do. And I think this is going to be so helpful and so clear, give you guys clarity as we move forward looking for deals. Okay, so you're going to write property, you're going to circle it. And then I want you to do almost like it's a spoke in a wheel. I want you to draw out a couple of lines off of that circle. And I want you to think about, this is your exercise, right? I want you to think about when we have the right property, what does the right property attract? Okay. So the right property, the right deal, the model property that we can then put attention to say, out of all these other ones, you're the right property. And when we select the right property, what
Sorry about that, guys. We're just having technical issues live from Mexico. So just stay put and let's just wait for them to.
does that attract? So go ahead and write.
We're back.
Okay, are we back, guys? My phone timed out. Sorry, we're having to tether here. So I mentioned write the word property, and then I want you guys to write the other words that it will attract. So for instance, the right property attracts the right partners. So you might have the word partners, draw a circle around it, and draw a link and a line to the word property. So you guys get to fill in all of the other things. If we're going to put our attention to a property, what we're doing is we're committing how many hours worth of work?
I don't even know if that's trackable.
I just saw your eyes.
I
get
think I
big.
hit my professional real estate guy thing qualification in the first 2 months.
Oh yeah,
Like
that's
750. Yeah, no,
that's a lot.
it's crazy. But go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, because that's what you're doing. You're committing really to marriage, to this property. And if it's the wrong property, like the wrong partner, in marriage, you're going to suffer. Everybody's going to suffer. Your investors will suffer.
So GPs would be a one-off of that thing to make sure that you guys have the right partners would be another example.
Right. Exactly. Because you got to think about partners, how, GP partners, LP partners, right? What are all the other partners that we are looking toward, that we have to have as vendor partners to close this deal? How easy is it? How difficult? We can either choose a property that is going to take us the extra time, frustration, stress, or we could kind of pick an easy lift. And so I want you guys to really think about this, because we can all go look for deals, but if we're looking for the wrong deals, it's just a waste of time. And sometimes, as we say, you got to kiss some frogs before you find the prince. But once you understand what the prince looks like, once you understand what that property should look like, all of a sudden, now you start spotting them, just like you driving the white car and now you're noticing all the other white cars, right? You notice what you focus on. You can easily spot so that's our goal, is we even All right, guys, sorry about that. Thank you for hanging with us. But the right property in that location may also differ. It might shift a little bit. Maybe a right property for us in Houston may be one thing, and a right property.
Yeah, I mean, location will drive. I mean, depending on, so that you can have all kinds of locations, but depending on the location, it could depend on a barrier to entry, or could depend on, just because it's a Class C and maybe you guys are looking for a lighter lift, it could be an excellent location, right? So you could have a Class A and a Class B location, which isn't ideal. You could have a B and a C location, not ideal. A C and a B location, probably ideal. B and an A location, ideal. So you want to be able to add value or improve, and those are some of the tricks that you want to look for in a geographical location. We could go spend this whole time on just location, but migration patterns, barriers to entry, asset class in whatever A, B, or C location. What else?
I mean, it's resources, right? And we talked about this specific to, let's say Houston in particular, let's say Florida market right now that we're looking in Florida. Do we really want to do a C asset if our team, we haven't built out our resources yet? We haven't been built out a team that can do a heavy lift. Maybe they don't have the time at the moment to dedicate to it, because let me tell you, Sergio can speak to this. Like, there's a lot of time when you have a CapEx and you're running asset management, you're on the team, you're running CapEx, you know, that's a lot of attention. How often, Sergio, are you at Costa in the beginning and now at Sawyer's Mill?
Yeah,
I mean, what
yeah.
just how much time you are investing into a, you know, a CapEx C asset?
Yeah, it's kind of it's pretty crazy at the beginning when you're trying to really start getting the ball rolling on CapEx, because one of the things I like to tell everybody, and this is just any general partner, right? This is everybody I tell that, you know, the ultimate goal is we have a business plan that we have to execute. We're talking about pitches, we're talking about returns, we're talking about how many, you know, units we're going to turn around, what our IRR is. None of that's possible without rehabbing units, without increasing rents, and that's very, very vital at the beginning. So when we first take over a project, I mean, we're there damn near every other day. Every day, I mean, at a point we were at Casa. There was times where even at Sawyer's that we were naturally taking shifts. You know, we were naturally taking shifts where I would go sometimes in the morning, and then Brian would be there at lunch during lunchtime or after the lunch hour. And there was times where even Sean would pull up later that evening. Now we wouldn't even coordinate that, but it would just naturally happen that you know, that way. And that's what's required at first, making sure that, you know, our quality control is there, making sure that our contractors are getting everything done. So at the beginning, I mean, it's very, very vital. And that really just happens the first couple months. And that's all that's really required at first when you're getting started and you take over, right? This isn't a thing where you're going to be there for 2 years straight every single day, but it is very vital the first couple of weeks, the first couple of months, trying to get a hold of this animal that we're taking down and trying to stabilize it, you know, and it's pretty hectic. It's pretty heavy duty. So as of right now, like for instance, Sawyer's, it doesn't require us to be there every single day, but we are checking up because we've already injected, you know, a lot of the CapEx in for the exterior work. But at first it does require a lot of time, and you got to have that person, that team member to really depend on, that's going to be there, that's going to, you know, put in the work, and that's just going to at least help, you know, handle those kind of operations. And it just kind of goes back down to what Jana was saying earlier, you know, choosing your right team, choosing the right GP partners, who's going to back each other up. You know, Sean can't be there all the time. You know, Brian can't be there all the time. I can't be all the time, but we're going to sit here and cycle through it, which leads us being there damn near there all 24/7, right? So it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of time that's required. But if you do this accordingly, if you plug in the right partners, set expectations, I mean, things will get handled and they will get done. I mean, we had a phenomenal call this morning. Where we were kind of coordinating everything. Well, who's handling one? Everybody's like, hey, I'm handling this. Sergio's handling this. And then Tammy's handling this. And everything is in line. We just got to execute. I mean, that's essentially what it takes for us to execute and to get things done, right? So these are the type of partners that you do want on your team. These are the type of partners that you want to depend on. So it's very, very heavy at the beginning. Kind of going left field here, but it's very, very heavy and very, very vital.
For sure. So if our resources, so back to that point, if we're not going to look for a heavy value add C asset that we don't even have anybody boots on the ground, like it is an absolute, hey, let's go to Birmingham, Alabama, and let's buy a C asset. Absolutely not. We would be crazy.
I wouldn't even go to Houston, like if we didn't
No.
have boots on the ground,
Right.
or San Antonio, quite frankly.
No.
So yeah, it's important to have the partners in the right locations before you even talk about the location of possibly submitting an LOI or taking down that asset.
So let's you guys go ahead. I know you filled out your sheet there. You probably wrote some things. Go ahead and put those in the chat and share now what you wrote. The right model property attracts what? It attracts who? And let's now know that we've got to zone in to those right properties, because whenever we were on a call if you guys were with us last week, we called Chris with CBRE. He called me twice back, called Sean, and then yesterday we talked to him, and he gives us a property that we're probably going to put an LOI on. And it was the conversations about the property. Number one, location. It has to be an A, it has to be a B plus, right? We're not even going to look at a property in a C location. I mean, it would be, again, it's like suicide. We're not going to do that. We would be just in trouble. So whenever we're hearing deal flow and deal pitches weekly, and somebody talking about a C asset and they're not there and they have no partners, it's like you're wasting your time. So the more that we can get super clear, hyper focused on the areas we want to be in, not only just Houston, but what parts of Houston. Is this an A area? When we have Jody, when we have Cheryl, when we have Diedrich, they can confidently say, great area, and here's why. Here's why. We can know the Dallas market. We can know the San Antonio market, right? So confidence, partners build confidence, but the property starts attracting the right GP team. I'm going to read y'all's list here, right? The right equity. Thanks, Sam. The right debt. Jody says the LP partners, the right tenants. So glad you got that. The right property management, the right property manager, the right leasing people, right?
Yeah.
Leasing agents.
Yeah, and I'll give you all a little insight that nobody ever told me. You know, when I was getting started, I kind of just arbitrarily went after a property, not knowing who number one my GPs were, or doing the proper vetting on the GPs, but really more importantly my investor base. And so it is extremely important, and we're finding that out now. Even, you know, we've got two different investor bases. Some like the value add and the higher returns, and some like the long play, the 10, 15-year hold in a Class A asset. So it's super important to know, as you're building your investor base and your relationships and your network, to understand what they're looking for and kind of what their goals are. And that will make things a little bit easier on you moving forward as to what kind of asset that you want to go into. So, you know, we have our base started at a kind of a higher return value add play, and that's kind of what we focused on in the beginning. And then as we started moving along, we started acquiring different investors that wanted the longer play, and kind of the, you know, the 6%, 7% cash on cash, the medium range on the Class A. So it's not that it'll be easier. I just think to know that nobody really told me, hey, start with your investor base and see what their issues are, what their problems are, how to solve those. And that will kind of help guide you on what kind of asset that you want to take down. So that's a great point on the LP and the equity.
Absolutely. And Sharon for sure says even the vendor partners and all the on people's lists. Even if you're not a deal finder, just looking for.
We lost them.
We're here.
We're back.
Oh, there they are.
So, yeah, so this property landed in my inbox. It is a Vista 121 value add multifamily opportunity in Lewisville, Texas. So maybe Sharon and Terry don't know where Lewisville, Texas is. Well, Terry probably does because they have people, you know, close in proximity. But we know Lewisville, Texas is right down the road from
literally 3 miles from my house. So I would be looking at this probably.
And we're saying it's 270 units, built in 2006, right? So we're like,
Where's that from?
maybe so. Well, it's CBRE. And he didn't tell us about this one, did he?
We're gonna get on Chris.
Yeah, this is Chris. So all of a sudden I'm getting this inbox and I'm like, okay, this is something that we want to, this is a yellow light, right? So red, yellow, green. This is a yellow light. It can't be a green until we underwrite it. So we're used to that. Now you're going to see yellows and reds. If I'm looking at 430 units, that comes, I'm probably a red at the moment, just for now.
Maybe.
Just for now, right? But you've got to know, like, what are we comfortable doing? Here's an IPA deal, 422 units in Irving, Texas. So we like Irving, built in 2018. It's a phenomenal property. It's definitely an institutional asset, right? Beautiful. But what do we know on this cap rate? What do we already know on the returns? It's probably very little returns. We're probably at yeah, right. So that's the thing about the A's, unless we're stealing an A, like we are with Cityscape, probably the A's we're not quite ready for unless they are in trouble and we're going to be able to go in. But this deal is going to be awarded 422. This is still a little too big for our britches on this one.
Why?
Just saying. I'm just saying. Okay.
We need to talk, the next session will be about mindset and how we think bigger.
So, you know, you're going to, as you look through deals, and you guys can go to IPA. We've already given you guys the list, CBRE, JLL. Start searching in Dallas with us. Start searching in Fort Worth. Start searching in Houston with our team. Start searching in the Florida markets, you know, all the way up a little above Fort Lauderdale down to Miami, over to Naples, Tampa, right? Fort Myers, that coast. You guys, we have people there. We feel confident. We feel comfortable. We feel like that those are good areas to start branching out to and start exploring. You got to do a lot of homework before we do a deal.
Yeah, and here's another little piece that I didn't know early on. I was looking at everything. So, and to Janice's point, she's kind of mentioned some yellow lights and red lights of size and asset class. The better the asset, the A's, the B plus, even some of the B's, you're going to be competing with people that have track records. You're going to be competing with institutional money, meaning, you know, they're going to go hard, you know, day one with could be up to 1 or 2, maybe even 3% hard money. So we got to know, we don't want to be wasting our time on things that we know we can't take down. It is a progression. I don't care what anybody says. Even our mentor, Mr. GC, actually came out finally and said, "Hey, you got to start somewhere, but don't start with a 400s, you know, $50 million property because you haven't raised a dollar yet." So we all kind of understand that, but you'll hear some things out there that say, "Hey, you know, go straight to the big stuff." And we got to, common sense comes into play at some point where we're just not going to be able to compete with people that have, you know, closed deals, have, you know, 120 million funds sitting in the bank that they can do what they want, or they can pay cash with. They closed deals with that brokerage before, so they have a track record. So it's not that it's not overcomable. It's just that we need to pick our right asset with the right brokerage firm if we think we have a leg in, or, you know, as we continue to stretch ourselves, we're continuing to up the notch with some of the brokerage firms, even that we haven't closed with, because they've seen the stuff that we have closed and they do understand where MIA sits, how many deals we've done this year. They're all, you know, we've mentioned this before, they're all in the know of all the other brokerage firms of what's happening, at least in that geographical location. So we'll stretch ourselves a little bit, maybe with a brokerage firm that we haven't, you know, closed with. We've had this conversation numerous times with Chris. And, you know, even though we haven't closed anything with him, he knows we can close. We were on his short list of 4 people.
He told us. I wish that we recorded that conversation.
You know, so those are things, again, it kind of goes back to relationships, but it's also goes back to track record. So my point is, you know, don't go look at the Class A's, but I wouldn't spend a whole lot of time developing or underwriting that until, you know, we've got a track record. And again, you guys utilize us for the you guys are leveraging our track record to be able to go do that. I'm just saying anybody else that would start out with it, maybe a smaller 30, 40, 50 unit property and go from there. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you should have some inbox if you're serious. And we know you guys are here because you're serious. You should have an email that literally is getting deal flow. And you're able to just know, keen, okay, in Dallas, in the Dallas Fort Worth market, we are okay with an C asset in an A location. And you're like, I don't even know if this is an A location, but I'm going to send it to the Dallas team just in case, right? I send deal flow to Jody. He's running point with our Houston team. You guys know that Jake is running point on our Florida team. So you guys just send deals because you were saying this yesterday, if we want to close more assets, we need to have LOIs going out now. We need to have LOIs going out now because we know this takes several months to close, right? So we're kind of behind the 8 ball, and you guys it's all of our responsibilities to be looking for our next properties. And you guys get to decide what position we mentioned, and it allows you to be able to say, okay, I feel like I'm ready for a GP position because the right deal is going to bring the right partners. And now my goal is going to be $1 million+ raise as a GP, right? And the bigger deal, was it Chris asking us? Somebody was asking us, are y'all ready for a $14 million raise, right? And because I think one of his is a 35 million.
Yeah,
I think so. And he was kind of laughing. He's like, are y'all ready for it? And so we got to be ready. We have to have our investors lined
what
up.
you talking about? The money's in the bank, man. Why are you even asking that question?
I love it. So just know that the right deals are going to bring the right partners. I don't know Cleveland, Texas. I'm not going to go to Tyler, Texas. I'm not he said, Jody knows it. He's like, no, so that's the thing. If it's not a major market, we're going to cut our teeth in these major markets. We're going to go with something certain. Yes, in these tertiaries, we may have bigger returns, but we want to go where bodies flow and it has a consistent track record. So do not get distracted. This is what I want you to write down. Don't get distracted with shiny objects or really good returns.
Or conversely, bad non-shiny objects,
Yes.
right? So we just had it popped in my mind. We just had a deal come up next door to Sawyer's Mill. So this is the second property, like literally one side of Sawyer's and one on the other side. Passed on the first one. We passed on the first one just because I run at this one next door, and had I asked if we take down this next asset. So there's other plays at stake. It's not just an A, B, or C. It's, if you own the entire block, guess what? You get to start controlling the rents. So there's all kinds of different plays here, and that's just one of them that popped in my head a minute ago that we got an email on, which, by the way, we'll be submitting an LOI on as well.
Well,
sorry, didn't mean to.
No, that's okay. That's all right. The thing is, when we say yes to a deal, we're probably saying no to another deal. That might be even a better deal. So I don't want to pick up something good and miss something great, because that's going to be distraction. It's going to be all of our resources tied up. It's going to be attention. We're also going to cycle through the seasons. This is something else, because right, our conversation is deal flow. We're going to cycle through seasons that our team is tired. We're tired of the heavy lift. We cannot, unless this team grows, and we continue to add, which we are, but knowing that we're going to pick up another C in a major market, and now we have our hands full with other C's, something may give, right? So we have to know timing is everything. We may have to say no to something good to wait for something great. So we're going to turn it over to you guys. We want you guys asking questions. Jody, I see your fun, your chats here and you're thinking of the, you know, of how you stump the PM. And we want you guys, if y'all get this, guys, this is the biggest thing. The biggest thing. You know, we do not want to have heartburn that we picked a wrong deal. We got into a bad marriage and now we're suffering, you know, suffering for it. What can we do that are the surefire wins? 100%. We bet everything on it. We bet everything on it. If we can't bet everything on it, we may wait till we get something else that we can bet on. Right. Okay, Jody.
If I'd be like a Grant Cardone, if you're not willing to give up one of your kids to take one of these down, yeah, like you ain't dedicated, man. Like I almost sold my youngest the other day just to get this deal done.
Really? Does he know this? He's over there. I'm going to tell him.
Yeah, he might. Jody, update us on the one that I think you just dropped something about best and final. Did you get some information on that?
He's talking about.
Yeah, back on going back to the retreat, talking to the broker yesterday, Anthony from Newmark. You know, we were talking about the realities of taking down this deal. We were walking yesterday called Chateau Normandy in Houston, East Houston. And he said, well, the reality is, he said, you know, you guys were up against some folks that, you know, we went, you know, because I had asked him, I was like, hey, how, you know, what's the likelihood of us getting this deal? And so it came up and he was put it in scope of the retreat. He said, the reality is the price went up to 19.1 million, where our offer was at 18.25 after we got into best and final. He said we went to another best and final where it was really out of two, and one of them was a REIT, and the other one was a group that had a family office kind of as a backstop, where they would raise their own money, but then if they had a gap, the family office would step in with some sort of a preferred return to fill in that gap. He said, and those guys, he said, they were just willing to go that much further, and that's who you were competing against. So it was really, really nice for him to add that kind of color to that deal and figure out who we were competing
against. That's awesome. That's great information.
Well, we know a REIT doesn't have to, neither one of them really have to go raise, and they don't have to answer to anybody about immediate returns, right? So when money's in the bank, certainty of close, that's the challenge that we just got to know. And Grant called it on that one, right? He was the one that literally called it, which made us call the broker and ask those key questions, you know, the difficult questions, you know, who are we up against? Because if it's a great deal, there's going to be multiple offers on it.
Yeah, absolutely. You want multiple offers on it. You don't want to be the only one offering on a deal that's especially on market.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So that was good information. It's knowing, you know, what we're looking for, and knowing what is also the timing of the market. Is there going to be other deal flow coming down? That's the biggest, you know, question that we're all up against. Timing is also everything. Hello, guys. Come say hi.
Hello.
Come say hi. Say hi to the
Buenos tardes from Mexico, everybody. We wish you were here.
Oh, man.
They didn't even want to talk about their wins today. They're
sulking. They had their cameras off, thinking it's Robin, Sam, right? Diedrich's here. Terry's been on the whole time, and Jim. It's Sergio. Sorry, Sergio.
What's
Y'all are really upsetting Sergio because now he knows what he's missing. And it's a happy hour time. It's a happy hour.
Oh, it's good to you. It's 2 for 1 right now. 12 to 2.
Well, it's, you know, talking about the timing of the market, talking about, you know, just understanding the right property is going to attract everything. It really is. You pick the wrong property, it's going to be a tough race. It's going to be frustrating. You know, you got ups, you're going to have to continue to do extensions. The occupancy drops, right? Because they put their foot off of it. It's going to happen even on a good asset. It's just, you're just signing up, you know, to almost like, you just got to be ready. You got to be ready. You got to know this as you're looking for it. When you talked about the right property and your investors, you have to walk on the property going, what's my story for my investors on this asset?
Yeah, absolutely.
What's my exit? Like, you just have to know that, because you've got to sell that property first to yourself, then to your investors.
Huge point right there. If you're not sold, you can't sell it.
No, that's right. You got to be 100% committed. Hey.
Willing to give up a child committed. Otherwise, you can't sell it to your investors.
Jody, you got another comment, or you go ahead?
Yeah, that question actually came out of another question that I asked about that property, and I appreciate you guys with the information, because I wouldn't know to ask those questions, and it really flows, and those questions flow together. And sometimes the broker will answer them without you even asking. But I asked him, I said, what's the major play on this deal? What's, for the seller? Is it price? Is it earnest money? Things of that nature. And he says price. And I said, he said, and that's how he led into the retreat. And so he said, right there, he said it was price. It said, but this deal that we're looking at here in Houston yesterday, he's like, it's off market right now. He said, so if we go market, he said, there's the risk that it will drive up price. And so he was talking about, do you want to go in with this number and how that will impact the ultimate purchase price, because you will have those competitive offers like Sean was talking about a while ago. But all of that to say is actually, I had another question. But you were talking earlier about don't be distracted by shiny objects or great returns. Are you talking about their pro forma that they're talking about putting out there?
I mean, the pool, it could be, what's another shiny object, right? It's like, oh, I just love, like I was getting at Elevate, like, oh my gosh, this is an amazing asset. And who has owned it? Who is selling it? Like, I know there's a good story there, but I cannot let that overpower the numbers. So I don't want to get side distracted, right? It's like picking somebody just for their looks, but you got to go deeper. Okay.
Yeah. You're a perfect example, Jody.
I think the numbers you can get excited about, I think that's not a distraction. It's really more about the property and said, wow, wouldn't we love to own this and have this in our portfolio, but the numbers don't support it.
Yeah. It could be anything. It could be their pro forma, Jody, to your question. It could be the look of the asset. It could be the BS that the brokers, telling you on the phone, like, oh, because
consumable note.
Yeah, like, yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah.
There's a lot of assumables out there right now that's, I saw one the other day, it was like 2.9% trying to sell us. So
yeah.
Is
that helpful, Jody?
Are y'all, I think we're great.
Okay. Good. Anything else that you guys like? If I'm telling you, it took me a while to get so laser focused. And don't be so concerned about finding a property in your market. Now, we say shop your market so you know what to look for. But we also say go shop markets that we're already in so we can own the block, so we can already have resources there. We already have people. Because that's the beauty of multifamily, right? We can do this from anywhere. You do not have to be local. And I'm telling you, let's just be real, Sergio. It's kind of nice not to be local, because if you're local, you probably having to do some property, right? You're having to help out a little bit more.
I mean, it's a good play. It's good to be local until your partner.
You may drive by it all the time, but that's also a win.
Yeah.
Until your partners try to force you to live in a unit, that's where it gets a little sticky.
Hey, we've been wanting Sergio to be a property manager.
We were trying to lure you, not force you, sir. Lure you.
Like you could this unit, right? You're right by the pool. You would be a paying tenant.
Yeah.
But we might could get you a
We'll put a
discount.
dishwasher in, like we'll put a refrigerator in, like we'll make it livable.
Yeah. So see, with Jim and Terry, right now, when they move to Florida, they might take somebody up on that. But you know, you probably don't want to live in an asset at the moment. And so the point of like just get super laser focused. The property has to check key boxes. All of those things that you guys wrote down and all of the things that you put in the chat, that is the ideal property. If you can't say, man, this thing's going to attract a really good property management company, this thing's going to attract the right residents, this thing's going to attract, you know, the right investors, the right returns. I'm not going to go look at some random property that doesn't even have a good broker, a good name that we recognize. Otherwise, we know something's going on. So there's just the unit mix, right? The unit sizes, all of that has to check the box. And maybe you don't have one of the boxes checked and you're like, that's okay that one's not checked, because we have a game plan for that. We have a game plan that the occupancy is only 70%. We have a game plan, you know, that they're vertically integrated with their property management company. It's the only asset they still own in San Antonio. And we're okay with that. We can fix that. As long as you're not fixing a bunch of X's.
Yeah.
The more X's, right, there's a problem.
And just kind of a quick update on the current market situation while you guys are out there looking for deals. Occupancy has technically generally dropped across most of the US. So the reason that's important is once you get below a 90% occupancy, you are no longer looking at agency, Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. Now you're into a bridge loan, which is a whole different interest rate. So just a kind of current market situation. It is what it is. It will definitely come back, but it has dropped a couple points across the, certainly we're experiencing that in Dallas, which we haven't experienced in quite some time. But it's down around 92%. So you'll get a lot of brokers come in and say, hey, it's 88% occupied, but it's pre-leased at 90 or 91. So agency's okay. Well, that's bullshit. Don't take that when you guys are talking to these brokers.
Their job is to fluff it, right? Fluff it up.
Their job is to fluff it up. And agency's going to want to, we had a conversation just yesterday. Agency technically wants, to my knowledge, 60 to 90 days of that 90+% before they'll entertain it. Now, you're going to have 60, 90 days of closing time, but are you willing to gamble that on while your money's hard and possibly losing your interest money because you thought it was going to be a 5.25% interest rate when it's really a 7.5% or 8% interest rate? So just something to pay attention to. I'd kind of like to give market updates on these calls. I think we'll do that moving forward, but that's kind of where we're at right now. So if it's pre-leased to 90%, doesn't mean a whole lot. The broker told us yesterday that agency's not really looking at that anymore. I don't buy that until I've talked to somebody with the agency company that tells me
non-biased.
It's non-biased, because that's again a broker's opinion.
Yes.
They're 95% full of shit. So just something to keep mindful of on current market situations right now. Again, it seems to me that everything's kind of hovering around that 92%, certainly in the DFW Metroplex. So also something to consider when you're underwriting these deals on your pro forma as well.
Love it. Well, and so everybody's homework is for this next week, go look at deals. Go to JLL, go to IPA, go to Newmark, go to Northmark, go to CBRE, go check out properties. Unless you are we're not even really looking at Marcus and Millichap. Like that's just their C assets. And they, there's like that you want to go. Some of these I call them A brokers are now listing some C assets, but we know that they put them through the stress test, and I'd rather buy a C asset from them than I would from maybe another broker, which is weird, right? But that's the truth. I know that their BOV, I know it seems like a better process. It's not that our M&M guys are not any good, because it's almost like going to any, we may have really good ones here in Dallas market, and I feel like we do. But you're looking at brokerages overall. So find your little buy box. You guys know that we're looking at assets no less. Our smallest deal is 44 units. And that's still probably not anything that we would repeat unless it checked a little bit more boxes, right? And so, and then we know the highest size, we're looking at about 320 or so units. 320 is what the highest we bought, but 350, we wouldn't want a bunch of 350 C assets. Who would want that in a C location? Doesn't even make sense. So you're going to ask these questions. What is the story? What makes sense? Is this a good deal? Even if you just know that, if it looks good, it gets a yellow light, send it over. Send it over to your core people. We'll look at it. And that's, of course, that's going to be something where now you're more in on the front end of something, on the underwriting and all of that, which definitely helps. Good?
Any other Q&A other than Jody?
No, don't pick on him.
Well, he's like, look at him. He's just got his hand up all the time.
Go ahead.
Going to your market that you said earlier, Sharon actually questioned, why is occupancy changed? But I've also got to ask, with people with mortgage rates so high, they're not buying houses. Where are they going? Are they going to Mexico?
Yeah, they might. They're going, further.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, it's going to continue to go up. That's why I still think that 18 to 24 to 36 months from now, we're going to see another pop in rents. Like, I think that's another 5 to 10% increase in rents that's coming, just kind of like you saw during COVID. But I don't know why the drop in occupancy. I know we had a lot of new product come on, not this year, but last year. Some of it's still unloading this year. But yeah, to your point, Jody, like, people aren't moving to homes. They still they're unattainable. Unless you're in California and you're illegal, and they have now approved a $150,000 credit first-time buyers for illegal aliens.
Wow.
So move to California.
Wow.
But in all seriousness, I mortgage rates are still high. They're coming down a little bit, but the prices of homes aren't. So, and I don't think they're going to.
Rates go down, prices are going to go up. They're already up to that. Yeah, absolutely. And I would say also, Sharon, maybe the Atlanta market, around Atlanta, for Barbara. She's got a core, group there that I could, we could trust. It's like trust, verify, confident, all of that. But right now, these are our core markets in San Antonio's there too. So
Terry?
Yep.
Terry, you got a question?
Yeah, so mine has to do with what we were talking about, the occupancy rate dropping a little bit. How is that going to affect, especially, questions coming up with the election and everything on, even young people's affordability of properties and the whole question around affordability? Are rents getting too unaffordable?
I mean, I think that's why you have the levels of home options and apartment options, right? Because we know that something may, and there may be more tertiary movement into those submarkets, because people will, there's always going to be something for someone. Is it ideally what they want? Probably not, but that's the challenge, right? People move up, people move down. They move up when it's good, they move down when it's bad. And so the goal is to not really own the properties that people are moving down in, because they exit overnight. They don't pay, all of the challenges that we could have at a property. That's what you're signing up for. Unless you're getting it for a steal, It still cash flows, and you've got this massive upside. It just doesn't make sense. But people will move. Um, they'll just, have to not be exactly where they want.
I don't think anybody has concern, but I don't know that that's going to have much of an effect on rents in particular. To Janice's point, I think that's why we have a very nice diversification in our portfolio right now, because you're going to have, you know, Bs move up to As, As move back down to Bs. Not so much B to C's generally, but C's to B's. There's some intra movement there. And so I think that's great to have as opposed to having just all class A plus who can't afford rents. They're just going to move down to a different asset class. But I don't see much in the way of actual average rents going anywhere but up in the next couple of years. Just because
So
there's
you're
not
cutting in
much
and out.
product coming on. I would, especially over the next 36 months.
You guys still hear okay? Can you guys hear all
I
right?
heard most of it, but very slowly.
Okay.
I did have a follow-up question, but now I forgot what it was. So sorry. If I think of it,
So was
I'll
it
raise
about
my
the
hand
rents
again.
and about people
Yeah, I
moving
mean, it kind of had to do with, you know,
up and down?
if we take on an asset that, you know, right now, occupancy is super, super low, it's very difficult for us to initially raise rents. So does that make that still a good property? As we make improvements, we can raise rents. I guess I struggle a little bit with understanding that, if you heard me.
One 1,000% is the answer to that. Yes, if you can, hopefully you guys can hear me. It is. Can y'all hear us?
Now we
It's a
can.
great question.
Okay,
Okay.
perfect.
It's absolutely about the long run. Don't worry about what's happening right now. Yes, to answer your question, if we acquire a property that's lower in occupancy, it may struggle a little bit, but we've talked about this many times. Rents, values of property double every 7 to 10 years. Like, this is about the long run. This isn't about flipping properties, buying a property this year and selling it next year. That's not what we're doing. We're in this 5 to 7 to 10 plus years on these assets. These will turn. It is a matter of waiting it out. It's just a matter of waiting it out. I can't tell you enough how much I believe in. I would go acquire a property today at 50% occupancy if I knew I was going to hold on to it for 5 or 7 years, because it will get to 90% and rents will go up. I don't care. It may slow, it may go hills and valley, but ultimately it's going to go up no matter what.
I mean, think about buying 133 single family homes at one time. Like, that's literally what we did at Sawyer's Mill. They just all were right there together. We would never think that we could buy 133 units and immediately, do a switcheroo. Like, even the 128, right? We just couldn't do it.
Technical
But-
term, switch.
But yeah, technical. Add that to the multifamily dictionary. But right, like we have to know, and we underwrite that from the business plan, because I like to happen fast. I want it to happen just like it would happen on a single family, because you can relatively make some quick changes to a single family, but now you're dealing with people. You're dealing with all the stuff. And thank goodness that all of those doors are under one location. So it still is a process. I think we have to go back to that mindset, but we may say we're going to tap out if this is a C asset at 350 units. right? That's a lot. That's a lot of riffraff. That's
Especially
a lot.
if we already have one or two of those,
Yes,
right?
in the mix, into
In the
stabilization,
hopper, yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because you got to know how many you're in stabilization before we're going to add to the mix. So, Jody?
But I would absolutely not worry about that, Terry. This is a long game. This is not a what's happening today or tomorrow thing. This is what's going to happen in 5, 7, 10 years from now. That occupancy will go up, and so will rents.
Organic.
As far as as we're taking down new properties, going on, and we're in September now, how does that affect raise, and does the type of property affect that when you're raising capital? And obviously, I understand that some people, if they're transitioning out of a property, they need a 1031. Obviously, you get more of those folks by the end of the year. I think you have that, or from a tax standpoint. So how does that affect? Does it hurt some types of investors, but it help with other types of investors?
If you're asking, towards the end of the year question, I think we gain more momentum because people are looking for that tax depreciation. I don't think it hurts anything. I'll tell you one thing that surprised me a little bit was trying to close a deal in the middle of July. I think that was more of a struggle than trying to find one and close it before the end of before the end of the year. We closed Sweet Redemption in 2022 in 45 days. We got that done 2 days before Christmas.
And so we had another close in December, the hub. Like we had 2 closings in December.
So I think it's actually a little bit easier to put something under now and try to get it closed. Now, it depends on the debt and structure and all that, whether it's possible or not. But as far as investors are concerned, I find it a little bit easier. People are back September because school's in, they're home, they're sitting, they can communicate. They're not on vacation with their kids like they were in summer, which I'm still trying to wrap my head around. What I thought was going to be a really easy raise turned out to be a little bit more challenging. But no, I think it's an easier, in my opinion, I think it's a little bit easier because people are motivated to get that tax depreciation.
Yeah. And back to our original exercise, it's a way easier thing if it's the right property with the right returns, right? And they're going to expect on an A, we've got to be 6+%, B 7+%, C 8+% to get people's attention these days. And so that's it. And everybody wants a 2x, you're not going to get it with a 1.7x.
No.
People that know what they know, there's some expectation there.
And even Grant's changed his style a little bit. It's funny. He changes from time to time. He'll stand on one thing and talk about it, and then the next day so what he's done now is he started distributions day one. That's his way of combating, and he's able to do that because he's paying cash for these properties. So now he's even thrown in, which he's never said before that I've heard, hey, we're going to refi in 2 years and put debt on, which all makes sense. If I had $150 million in the bank,
finance, not even refi.
He's financed and not even refi. Sorry, but it makes sense because you can buy them with cash. But he's promoting that, knowing that maybe people like us are out there saying, hey, we're going to refi, we're returning capital 60-70%, maybe 100% capital in the next 2 to 3 years on this asset. I've seen him flip a little bit to start playing that game and start distributions early so that he can capture more investors. So it changes with the market, quite frankly.
Absolutely. Well, I know we went a little over time here, but great conversations, great questions, and great feedback in the chat as well. Getting hyper focused, right? We don't want to get side distracted. Don't look to the right, don't look to the left, look straight ahead and know this is going to be an asset that checks these boxes, and then know where our outliers are, right? Where our team is, what can we handle that's not going to, drown us, that's going to make us tread water. That's going to just decrease our momentum, because ideally the easier ones get closed quicker and we can move to another one, and we have repeatable, successful actions. The harder it is, it's going to be harder to close. It's going to be a harder story to sell. So look for those things. You're almost looking for what's right with it and what's wrong with it, and is that something I can easily overcome, right? We can overcome it easily. So thank you guys for hanging out with us today.
Two things. I would love to see y'all's brain maps. If you guys actually did that, which you should have, I would like to see them. I think that'd be cool to kind of see where maybe some challenges are that you might think are there, or some things that
You know what they're doing? They're filling it in
we
right
could
now really fast.
we could help
I see you.
add to that.
I see y'all.
Okay, so let's set up maybe on whatever to kind of maybe. I'd like to see those
Yeah.
and kind of critique those a little bit.
Uh-huh.
Wouldn't take but a few minutes. Anyway, not on this call, but we will have those, keep those. The other thing is, I want to see everybody on this chair right here in December on our next mastermind, because you guys are
Text
missing.
us our numbers. Text us your picture. Take a picture.
There you go.
Text it to us and get here with us. We're either going to be here or Vallarta. You'll have plenty of time to make your flights. We're gonna our team that's here is going to help make the decision. We have an incredible resort, Puerto Vallarta. And so this is 5-star all the way, unbelievable experience. And yes, I want you guys to have FOMO. Get in the room. You can bring your spouse. They can like sit at the pool. We do masterminding from 9 to 2. And then we go hang out and we go do something fun. I think we're doing 4-wheelers and zip lining.
Yeah, and I'm crushing
Oh,
everybody down here in volleyball.
What-
Like it's
Vernon.
ridiculous. Like they stand no chance.
Oh yeah. So you guys get in with us. I was gonna say in the room, but get on the beach
Oh,
with us, and for sure ConnectCon is up. And then Ellen, any final thoughts? Oh, ambassadors. We would love for you guys to hang back a little bit. You know anybody that needs to be in MIA, and you're interested in helping us grow, hang back. Ellen, anything else?
Yes, Miss Jenna, I have some more exciting news for everyone. If you know anyone interested in multifamily investing, we're hosting a free workshop and we'd love to connect with them. We will send the workshop link in the chat. And then for those, as what Ms. Jana mentioned earlier, for those who want to get more involved, we're also offering an ambassador program. So if you're interested in being part of it, simply stay in this Zoom link after our meeting and we'll give you all the details.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. Hang back if you have a few minutes. Otherwise, we'll see the rest of you guys on the other side. And y'all have a good day.